Well, ladies and gentlemen, we are back to discussion about rimfire, and in particular example, SIG Sauer 522. My version of the semi-automatic tactical 22 rimfire gun that I use for training of new shooters when they ask, and they do ask, and just for having fun. Today I wanted to cover an interesting area for me, optics for this gun. As you can imagine, there is a gazillion of options for firearms like this, but many of them are too much or too expensive or simply do not fit the bill. The two options I wanted to discuss today are regular scope in LPVO model, low power variable, and a low power prism as the options available on this firearm, or for this firearm in my case. What I have is a Leopold VX3i 1.5 to, I believe it is 5 zoom, older version, no longer produced, and now made purely in China. Yes, this is a model the Chinese people copy a lot, that right now resides in a UTG AkiSync mount. Very inexpensive combination. I got it off eBay a couple years ago. I think as end result is probably about $200. Yes, it's not exactly Chinese made, but it is Chinese price almost. It is not illuminated. It has a mil-dot reticle. It's 1-inch tube. Basically, very simple scope. Let's take it off the gun for now to demonstrate it to you. I also use it in my tests as a cheap prototype optics. Is it the greatest scope in the world? No. And it's not even that good, to be honest with you. But for the purposes of rimfire, should work. I have other Leopold scopes, and they work just fine. As you can imagine, it's one of the better brands that people buy. As far as not too expensive, but very good value. See, here is the reticle. I find it fits very well on the 22 semi-auto, especially when I'm talking about ranges of 25 to 50 yards. My indoor range, I'm in Florida. Outdoor is, for somebody from Russia, is suicide. So right now 25 yards is my limit, 75 feet. That's my indoor range in the state, in this particular area, unfortunately. So this scope works very well. However, this scope, in my experience, is not going to be very useful for what I would call training purposes. For training purposes on this gun, I usually put a regular red dot, or one of my less expensive red dots, not to worry about people dropping the gun or killing the red dot. That works. It's not on the table because right now I want to talk about zoom options that in the future, just like the 7.62x39 option, hopefully will roll into a series of rimfire specific optics review. Neither of these scopes is rimfire specific. Unfortunately or fortunately, that depends on what you think. So the alternative is 3X Prism. Used to be Cabela's brand. They don't sell this anymore. I think this is a different scope now. My understanding is Athlon used to make these. Right now Cabela switched to Discovery Optics for their Cabela's branded optic. and they sold these off at very low prices. I have two of these Prism Scopes, which by the way are very, very heavy. I bought them at a range of, I think, $50 or $60. You can see this thing weighs half a kilogram, or for those of us in the US, 18.3 ounces. This Leopold scope with a mount is 16 ounces, which is basically 1 pound. And this is 1 pound 50 and 15. Heavy sight. Still, it is quite comfortable. It has a very wide view. Not a very forgiving eye relief, to be honest with you. But it is very, very usable. If I can find... Here is the reticle. You can make it red or... Here we go. Red or green, which makes it actually quite usable in my experience. This is the Inferno model. So the choices between the two optics for this rifle, in my mind, for the zoom optic, are these two. At least from my collection, my pile of optics. And I find that the 1:5 is a little bit better, because you can actually use 1.5 zoom up close. It is still 2-eye opener. There is no illumination in this particular scope, but it is still quite clear. And it is a little bit lighter, though it is considerably longer, as you can see. I do like the way this thing works. And in some cases, this might actually have been a better scope. For 5.56, this is probably a little bit better. Maybe 5.56 pistol, for example. But for 22, it's a little bit massive, too massive. The idea is to have a light gun. Hence, this went off the gun. It was on there earlier. And this went on the gun. So that's the story I wanted to discuss with you. I would like to hear what you put on your 22 calibers. I know there are 22 special optics. One very good example that could fit on here, if it was cheaper, is a 126 from Primary Arms, with the BDC specifically for 22 LR. So what do you think? What do you put on your 22 tactical gun or training gun? Let me know. I would like to hear your opinion. That's all. Thank you for watching. We will see you in the next video.